So, will I be canceling every other membership? No. That's silly, man. Right, this is just one more den in the rotation, right? Because I mean, I've got a ton of, it's got all sorts of every kind of machine that I'm looking for there. But I mean, you know how many machines there are? Like, if you were to get every machine from every different brand of gym equipment, I mean, you'd be looking at multiple football fields to have every different version of everything else like that. So, you know, if maybe for whatever reason one day I want to do bicep machine curls, I might go back to the Y. Plus, don't forget, there is a certain element to the gym about who is there at any given time, right? Because at least if you're working out somewhere that you go to consistently, it's a little different if you're like traveling, because then it's, you don't know anybody. It's whatever. I might be more concerned with going to a gym that's empty just so I can, get a good lift in, instead of like, driving an extra couple of minutes to a big ass like, LA Fitness or something. But like around here, I'm freaking buddies with whole different groups of cliques at all sorts of these other gyms that I've been going to for the last like almost 7 years I've been working out. Just because now I've got a cool space doesn't mean I want to basically just go complete hermit mode, right? That'd be kind of wild. But I'm probably going to want to get a lift in from every body part here first, and then get back to a regular kind of, whichever which way kind of thing there. But plan for tonight, back, and I can guarantee that I want to use that upper back kind of cage row. And apart from that, I can kind of go by feel. Oh wait, no, that's not true. Yeah. There's probably going to be two top contenders of today's lift. Probably that, upper back focus row, where it's rounded vertically instead of kind of, down. I'll explain that better later. And the pullover. I haven't done a machine pullover since, back when I was lifting at the rec center at school. And I was honestly kind of surprised how good that machine pullover was. Like, it was like some kind of Nautilus like set of machines that they stocked my my own school's gym with. And some of the machines were a little scrappy. They're breaking a lot. But that pullover is actually a pretty good strength curve. The only problem was the stack was a little light. So like if I did that stack fresh, I could kind of sit there forever. I could probably go back and find some clips where I'm doing a set and I had somebody give me assisted reps, and they weren't even assisting until like rep 25, So that's a little bit too long of a set. I think that sweet spot's probably around the 8 to 20, maybe dabble a little beyond 20 sometimes, but that's kind of what I'm really aiming for. So the fact that I guess I'm not exactly sure how strong I'm going to be on this one, but I think the stack goes up to 400, which doesn't mean I'm feeling like 400 pounds of force in my hand, because machines are all about pulleys and levers and everything, so it's not like a direct one-to-one, but it's a big enough chunk of steel with those pins at the bottom where I do not think I'm going to be down there, which that's what I want most machines to be like. Like, I've been saying this forever. I want gyms to make machines with stacks that are like inhumanly possible, because I feel like that actually makes it a little bit more accurate to pick as much weight as you feel like you can really do, or you really should do, on like a step-by-step basis. Because we've all been there. Let's say I'm doing push downs, or I'm doing chest press, or I'm doing pec deck, and maybe I do some feeler reps, and I think a good weight would be like the 240 weight pin. If the stack is 260, I'm so close to the stack, I might think, screw it, let's just do the whole stack. It's only a little bit heavier. Whereas, I might be overdoing it with the weight just because you get so close to the bottom. Whereas if there was like a lat pull down stack where the stack was 700 pounds, unless you're like Brian Shaw, you'd never run into a problem like that. So that's one thing that's nice about having these extra kind of heavier, beefy sort of cable stacks, is I won't have to well, for some movements I'll be able to rep the whole stack, but for others I'll be, you know, a little more humble. I'll be able to curb my ego a bit more and say, okay, I don't need it. I mean, the leg curl and the leg extension too, those ones are pretty damn heavy. Like, I do not foresee that I'll ever stack those two machines. So, yeah. I think that's kind of a sign of evolution in the lifting. You know, it's not purely throwing weight around. You know, some sets are, right? You can't replace heavy squats, you can't replace heavy rows, you can't replace heavy whatever. But not every working set has to be like that. You know, I'm balancing like heavy nasty ones with lighter, squeezing, more torturous ones. And I think those are kind of the two styles of sets which, if they're at least the most prevalent in your training, that's probably your best bet. You know, let's say you got a chest day. What kind of chest movements are you doing? Probably heavy pressing, and then maybe lighter squeezing, burning flies. Same thing with back. Heavy ass rows, and maybe relatively lighter squeezing pullovers. Quads. Heavy ass pressing, lighter squeezing, burning leg extensions. You know, I think that's kind of the two weapons at my disposal. It's like I got a short sword in this hand, light, real, just kind of whatever, very technical, very precise, and then I'm holding the damn mace in this one, 5 foot long, 50 pounds on the end of it, just for brute, full-on freaking destruction. And I think those two go hand in hand, right? It's like well, I can't think of a good analogy for that. But either way, let's break in the gym for lift number 2, and just see how wide of a back pump I can get. One thing I've got in queue is some extra like lights. I need to I'm gonna see just how cool I can get the lighting in that space too, because that's something in which at some gyms, shit man, you're subject to however it was made, right? You know, let's say the regular gym floor is freaking, you know, yay big, yay wide, whatever. They're not going to turn off the lights for you just to pose down. So that's one advantage I have. Complete control over, you know, just how freaky, kind of shadowy and veiny and everything else I can get the pose down. So I'm sure it'll, I mean, even same thing with the machines. Like, there's still a couple more pieces still, you know, being shipped and kind of queued up. But yeah, over time, this place will kind of start to evolve. It's like it's going from like brand spanking new to like a more of a well-worn shirt. You'll actually be able to tell some shit went down without even having to look. You know, it's like if you go to an old gym and the stack is like all the stickers saying how heavy the stack is at the top, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds. They're fresh as could be. Like somebody stuck them on that day. Whereas down towards like the median range of like the 150 right in the middle, that's where all the kind of stickers get worn off because of just how much use they've been getting. So it might take a while to get to, you know, anywhere near that level with it. But yeah, that'll be fun. Because I mean, don't treat it like it's something to keep extra pretty, right? These are tools for the purpose of inducing muscle hypertrophy. Right? So I'm trying to treat it like that and make sure I don't slack. But I guess I kind of always do that. That's not new. But either way, now I'm just rambling. Let's get in there and get this back started. So, a little bit of cable warming up. And back is kind of quick. I mean, really, back should be, well, I mean, I'm not going to say should be for you, whatever. But for me, at least, it's kind of a quick warm-up. Like, I'm doing some pullovers down here. Because there's not a lot of, yeah, I guess now that I think about it, the movements that I need to warm up the most for are the ones where the internal forces in my build are compressive. Like if I'm benching, compression, 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 it's all like force being put inward. They're trying to crush me. Same thing with squats. But with back, with the rolling action, it's all tension. So really my only warm-up is the movement itself. You know, like I did some forearm stuff and a little bit of bicep curl and pullovers just on the cables, but really the only warm-up here was plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plate. 5's a little beyond my strength level. I was getting excited, like, oh yeah, 5 plate set number 1. No, that's a little too much. So I think 4 is the sweet spot. And with this set, even though it is heavy, I do want it to have a progression of hold at the top. So a portion of slow, controlled reps. Well, not slow, but controlled reps with a hold. Then just quicker reps when I can't hold it at the top anymore. And then just burn out with as many partials as possible. Now, it's pretty, it's freaking dead in here, sound-wise. I think I need to either bring in like a little iPod and just have the speaker play some kind of background sound. Or I was thinking this would be kind of funny. Imagine getting like a sculpture that's like a noise machine and it just like jingles plates. I'll think of something like that. But actual mid-set, I think the headphones, I don't even notice what's going on. But let's go nuts here. Holy shit. No. Yeah. A few more here. This is nice. Man, I never get to use a machine like this. All the regular hammer strength rows you might see at your gym, they don't rotate up here, right? So my hand motion is round up into a shrug. Whereas a regular hammer strength row seated like this, it's round here, right? So even though it's a row, it kind of turns into a lat movement. But upper back, this is nuts. A few more. One more, and then let's move on. Yeah, so that's one plus now. I don't have to re-rack my weights. Whatever working weight I use, I can just leave that there. Yippee for me. All right. Let's move on. I'm not sure what to. Let me feel around. Let's buckle up. Yeah, just like I thought. 400-pound freaking stack. 260 is a nice number right there. So this will be relatively lighter squeezing focused compared to, nasty heavy like those rows were. So there we go. Okay. Oh, shit. Oh. Nice. One more like that. Minimum. And that's something I've been missing out on. Because even with a good cable pullover, it's not that same like behind the head stretch. Because that's what's fancy about this. With a rope, the cable's just pulling you toward the rope. So it's a good stretch, but it's just pulling you forward. Whereas with a full-on fucking machine, the force is always just back on my hands. So there's really no break. But yeah, one or two more here. Actually, let me go a little lighter. That might have been a little too heavy. Oh, man. Holy crap. Oh, my gosh. It's so crazy how different this feels compared to a different lat movement. Because when I do a pull down, or even a pull over, I usually only feel it down right at my lower lats, like where they insert way down here. But I'm getting so much upper lat up here, right under the armpit. Honestly, that's kind of what I need. Because my lower lats are pretty wide. I want the top, the thick part, to really spread out. Right? I want to fill in this gap, lat to forearm. But 2 of these is enough. Let's move on. Rows, pullovers. What's that third style of set that I like for lats? Or for, I guess you should say, back pull downs. And after those sets already, this set goes up to 300, but I'm comfortable with making this set a cheeky light 200-pound set. So similar to the rows, without a hold, but I don't want to swing much in the beginning when I'm fresh. Squeeze, squeeze, and as I get weaker, that's when I might get a little nastier, just get some extra kind of self-assisted force reps. But it's like a mullet, right? Clean in the front, a little dirtier in the back. I think that's a solid combo. All right. Come on. All right. Oh my goodness. Oh. One more. Yeesh. Yeah, my lats are freaking erect already. Oh, okay. I think that's all. Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's pose down. So is that 3 rows, 2 pullovers, and then 2 pull downs. Yeah, 7 set back day. Volume wise and density of intensity wise, that's about what I'm aiming for. So I think we should get some freaky lighting right about there. Let's go find out. All right, so one advantage that I have now with access to a gym with no populace, right? We're getting back to like the college days where I'd be lifting at like 2 a.m. at that one 24-hour like kind of hardcore gym. There's something about being in a space totally alone, nobody else is looking at you, because I would like to think I'm reasonably I can say unbothered. Maybe I don't get embarrassed or anything if I'm screaming during a set, if I'm like, yeah, you know. But relative to like normal gym populace, I mean, there's a couple guys killing it, but the gym isn't always die-hard insanity failure training. And it's also full of, more kind of, I don't want to say casual in a bad way, but like more like, just lifting as for exercise. So that's where when it's just me somewhere, it's like the social boundaries and kind of, they disappear. And I can spend as much time or get as loud as I want, just. And I do think that translates to the actual lift's overall intensity. So just one little kind of perception-based change instead of purely location. But let's see what we're looking like through the shirt. And without any kind of like lats spreading or anything, like my arms aren't really resting naturally at my sides. They're kind of sitting in front of my lats and they're being like supported a little bit forward, right? And then if I pull my shoulders back, it's even. Like I'm, like this is if I'm trying to do a good posture, like this is my natural arm width from just having my lats like, well, pumped, bumping into my triceps. That's freaking great. But let's see how we're looking through the shirt. Oh yeah, more than reasonable width. So let's stop hinting at it and actually see how back's looking fully pumped up. And back day, same with chest, is always a little more than just back, because I'm getting a little bit of forearm pump from gripping everything, a little bit of bicep from just the action of pulling. Like, I guess if I did a really light controlled set squeezing day, then maybe I wouldn't get any of that extra activation. But with how much I was trying to really push failure on those rows and everything, it's almost like then a choice to get a little bicep and forearm just as like a little bit of extra help on kind of a rep by rep basis. But yeah, let's see how, if we get a little Christmas tree still, just about actually not just about, almost 5 weeks out from the last show. So it's only been like 3 weeks of bulking, but I gotta stop talking. Let's just see how this looks. goodness. Holy crap. Well, halfway through breaking in all the body parts in here, plus shoulder still counts too, so I guess I'm 2 out of 5 of my main lifts. Chest and back done. Now I'm just waiting for legs and arms. But let's get the lights on. Let's get the lights off, shut this place down, and get back in the car. A very good lift. All right. Now that was a rather beastly lift. And it's gotten me thinking, because honestly on those sets I feel like I pushed it a little harder than normal, which right now is to be expected because now I'm lifting heavier than normal because I've got more food in me and I can actually throw this stuff around. I'm not just aiming for stimulus and for muscle maintenance in a diet. I'm aiming for new tissue, maximized intense kind of freaking damage. I'm not just leaving the yeah, shit, it's almost like during the dieting phase. The training was just, putting the trickle charge on your battery, keeping yourself, big as you have already become while getting leaner. But now, no, I'm getting that freaking alternator revving, throwing some stuff around. But what I wanted to get into is with the working out, it's, yeah, man, you can't take any one specific detail out of context because it's such a broad thing to discuss with so many different moving pieces in and out, and some of these some ideas that get into people's heads about it are very different, because what have we all kind of heard pretty much thrown around across the board, kind of a classic phrase, less is more. I think we've all got the idea, like, okay, we don't need to be in the gym for 3 hours a day. We don't need to be doing that. But the guys where they backing off, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to over, in the process of like avoiding potential, and not even anything you've actually realized, but just the potential of hypothetical overtraining, it's gonna make you undertrained. So sometimes to take the idea of less is more to the extreme turns into less is less, right? And with some things, more is more, legitimately, so it's a certain kind of balance of looking at each aspect on its own, unrelated to everything else, and at least using some of your brain to think what makes the most sense here, right? Let's say I'm fatigued, I've worked out for 3 days straight, I can tell I'm a bit just kind of tired, I'm not fully recovered. Maybe a rest day would be in order, right? The more is more mentality, like hit it even when you're sore and tired and like you don't really feel like going. Sometimes staying home, getting recovery, and then coming back the next day is the objectively better move. But for somebody who's a little bit maybe not as tough-minded, his bar of like, oh, I'm feeling a little tired, it might be much, 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 much lower than like the experienced lifter. And then he might be thinking to himself, it's like, oh man, I just lifted 2 days. Maybe I should take an off week, right? And then it's the same mentality of, okay, I'm a little tired, I should take a rest day, but taken far too far. And then you never even give yourself the stimulus to recover. But what I'm getting into is obviously more consistent cardio, guaranteed better. More consistent calorie tracking, guaranteed better results. But no, what I really wanted to get back to was set by set intensity, because of course there's room for not fluff sets, but just kind of some pump work, not total failure, just getting the squeeze. You're kind of aiming for more of a subjective burn, right? Like at the end of a chest day or a leg day, actually mainly chest and arms, like I might do light curls, kind of quick reps. I'm not really focusing on getting like a perfect squeeze because my biceps might have already been erect by the 5 or 6 sets I already did before. I'm just trying to get some extra blood into them. But for most of the real working sets on a lift by lift by lift basis, the meat and potatoes of what you're really getting after, your real just working sets, leaving reps in the tank, I don't see it. I understand the argument of the potential reps in reserve, and maybe you're getting reasonably balanced results if you leave 5 and if you leave 3. Now, I don't think 5, but let's say you leave 2 reps in reserve, something along those lines. You're approaching that failure threshold. But from how I'm looking at it, your overall just like mentality and internal hype, that can change how many reps I can even do. So let's say I'm doing tricep pushdowns or overhead extensions or something, and I'm at like rep 15, and these reps are slowing down. They're not moving much. If I've really got some kind of awesome, perfect song going, or some kind of like just visualized like scenario or anything, and I'm really getting after it, I can basically dig a little deeper and get a few more reps. Whereas if I'm a little more, maybe out of it, maybe I'm not clicking, maybe I didn't get awesome sleep, or I'm not hydrated enough, or any number of things that could maybe mess up my headspace, then with the exact same like preparation and strength, like both of these scenarios, I could get, let's say 20. In a perfect world, I could get 20. But if I'm not really as into it, maybe I only get 14. Whereas when I'm really locked in, I can get upwards of like 16, 17, 18. So the fact that these sets are kind of not only limited by your physical capability, but also your mental capability of just the uncomfortability of that little end of the set portion, like those last 3, 5 reps, whatever. The fact that it's so dependent on like so many different things, the idea that you can guess, and not even guess, but like know, like, yeah, I've got 3 reps in reserve, I just don't see it, because what that really sounds like. Yeah, I could run 5 miles. I'm not going to do it, but I could do it. I could lock in, but I don't, like, I could if I wanted to, right? So there might be some logic there, right? Leave some, maximize stimulus, minimize fatigue, some things like that. But from how I look at it, just on like a personal note of how that sounds to me, it sounds like I don't want to do those last few reps. Oh, people say I don't have to? Nice. I'm leaving reps in reserve. So there's a difference between like the 20 years of training power lifter guy where, he's like, yeah, pushing it really to total maximized failure for me. I mean, just with all the time it just doesn't, because he's actually experienced it, and he's not just, he's not saying that, or the things that he's saying isn't just more right because he's done it, but he's found it out for himself. Like, he actually has gone through the process of knowing, like, yeah, it's probably not in my best interest to squat anymore. Too much fatigue, too much spinal compression for me. I mean, I've done it. I used to do it way more, but now it just doesn't make as much sense. It's a very different scenario for him to say, I got to back off on the heavy work, get a little more lighter, get a little less, less kind of joint tension, and just focus more on muscle stimulus and isolation. It's very different for the seriously experienced guy to say that versus, somebody who just got into training. Maybe squats are a little freaky. I mean, I can agree with that. Squats are, back when I really started squatting heavy, I'd be nervous. Like, I would be thinking about the squat in the leg day like 3 days in advance, because like I hadn't been used to that much weight before. But let's say you're not really into squatting, it's a little freaky. It's much more comfortable to say, yeah, squats, it's so much spinal compression, bro. It's just so much tension on your knees. I'm gonna have a way better time just doing controlled, isolated quad movements, like regular like hacks or something else, right? So these two guys are saying the same thing, which the statement has a reasonable logic. Like, it's not like they just made this shit up, but the motivation behind why they're each saying that and why they each come to that conclusion, very different. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not trying to leave anything in the tank, because I know I'm already getting stopped internally, like with my mind, because the action of doing a set to failure, like with those rows, it's a stress. Like, it's freaking out. Like, my nervous system is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, the only time you ever seriously exert yourself like that in nature, which, don't forget, genetically we're not really far off from, back when all we were doing was tons of just hunter-gatherer kind of shit. Like, there's some changes, but it's pretty similar. That's what we kind of came up with. Not came up with, but came up with. So the only time that your body has been used to that, like, physical active exertion was either you're trying to kill something or something's trying to kill you and you're defending yourself. So in your mind, that's like a pretty freaking situation. We're kind of wired for self-preservation. So if I've already got, potential just signals stopping me from firing my lats any more than I can muster, then why would I want to limit myself before that? So that's where the reps in reserve argument, I would ask anybody who maybe likes that idea to actually kind of reflect, okay, do I like this because it makes like actual training logic based sense, and I'm really, or am I only interested in this style of this style of set because it's making my workouts easier, and for the most part across the board, at least in anything like training related, dieting related, anything that's like a little bit of a too good to be true, it is. It's just kind of the freaking snake oil gimmick. Like all the, I want to stop even getting into this debate because it's like I'm getting rage baited by the TikTok like upper, lower, push, pull, whatever trends, because these guys are having serious debates. I'm looking in the comments, it's like paragraphs of upper lower is the superior split because of blank. The guy's been lifting for a year and a half. I'm not saying that there's any problem with that, of course, right? I was lifting for a year and a half once, but I might not have expected anybody to listen to my training philosophies back then, But it's the flashy parts of the working out. What split you're doing, what sets and styles you're doing, how many reps you leave in reserve, what kind of, maybe you're doing, and it's like, as much as things are changing, we're talking about social media, we're getting more fancy equipment, we're getting freaking studies out the wazoo on different lats and strength and length and part. The gym, at least as far as I'm concerned, in any meaningful capacity, there's no change in this shit. Heavy weights being moved around. And it doesn't, even once people are walking around with Neuralinks and half augmented reality, there's no getting around the fact that you've got to throw some shit around and reap the benefits. So that's sort of my shtick there. I gotta stop getting pulled in, because I don't want every drive to be the same thing, because I feel like I've been saying this a lot, because when I look at somebody's training, I'm not like, if they tell me they're doing this split or the like, saying what split should I do, or what, like, that's so vague. It's like you're looking for a car. Should I get the white one or the black one? I'm really concerned about the gas mileage. Do I get the white one or the black one? It's like that's not related. That's a part of it, but that's not actually what's doing it. I'm more concerned with someone's actual set by set intensity, their consistency, how often are they even showing up to the gym, and whether or not they're concerned about at least being a little curious about the macro track. But you don't have to be counting every calorie as a beginner. I definitely wasn't for like years. I'd hit my protein and I maintained for quite a while. No dogging on that. But it's the food, the recovery, and then the intensity of the training. And as long as those three are in check, this is the trifecta of gains. Do upper lower, do full day every 3 days, do push pull legs, do whatever. Try it. If it's working for you, keep doing it. If it's not working, try something else. So there's no it's not like there's one right way to do it. That's like we can all do very different stuff, and we should, because we're all different lifters. We've all come up with different lifestyles and different experiences. We've got totally different insertions and limb lengths and like torso sizes and just even different strengths. Like some guy's chest could be a total bombshell genetic beast and he's walking around with like double D's, but maybe his back needs a bit more work, so he doesn't have to worry about his chest training. He's trying to maximize everything else to catch up. I mean, there's a lot of angles to look at that. So that's where I'm not so concerned with what is the best workout split, what is the best diet, what is the best set style, should I do supersets, like those are little details that add up to what you're doing, but your training should revolve around you. The logic of even looking like what's the best, or asking, kind of hoping like that there is a best workout objectively across the board for everyone, that's a fairy tale, and that's the part of the working out that I think some people don't find as fun, because we want the answers. We've got the whole damn internet at our fingertips. If you want to know how to do something, you just look it up and 3 steps, perfect. And with the working out, like if you really want to become proficient at it, it's not something you can just look up. You got to really kind of, experience it for yourself, right? If someone told you what happened in a movie versus you went and actually go watched it, sure, I mean, you might know some details, but you wouldn't really get the big picture, right? It's like if you got an assignment to do a book report versus, one guy read the book and the other guy read like the synopsis or the summary that he looked up online an hour before that report was due. Maybe they get the same points or the same like details, but who has the better understanding and who actually had an easier time doing the task? The guy who's actually kind of learned it for himself. So that's where I just say don't freak. We've been all the gimmicks like what's killing your gains, what are you missing out on, nothing new is really popping up lifting wise, right? Apart from really not much, at least nothing crazy good that I've seen recently. I mean, the first time I saw somebody do like the like tricep extensions where you grab both cables over here and you do them like that, like individually loaded, that felt pretty cool. But like just random new movements, same thing. It doesn't matter if you watch somebody do it, you've got to try it for yourself and then see, okay, does this actually feel good or does this feel shit? And that's not something anyone else can tell you, right? Like if I'm doing a set of curls and I seriously feel it, and then somebody wanted to explain to me why I'm doing it wrong and how their way is better, and maybe I try it their way and I don't feel it as much, which one should I do? Because I know that whatever curl I was doing before is really getting my bicep, whereas whatever this guy told me to do might work for him, awesome, but for me it just doesn't click. So that's where you've got to kind of steer the ship of your own training and kind of dial it in towards your own build, which you don't have to do overnight. It just gradually happens over time, as long as you're consistent with the lifts. But I think that's all I got for a ramble for tonight. So now I get to go home, eat some ground beef and rice, and freaking pass out. Oh my god. So I'll see you tomorrow for some arms.